Hi, welcome to Talking Books and Stuff, the program that talks all about books and writing and stuff. Here's your host, Dennis Rimmer.
Hello again, this is Talking Books and Writing and Stuff, talking about books and writing and all sorts of good things like that. Today with us from way out on Vancouver Island, we have Yvonne Rediger. Yvonne, did I get that right? You are on Vancouver Island somewhere?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
We're out.
Where?
Outside of Duncan.
Ah, sure.
Yeah.
Yep. So, Cowichan Valley area?
Correct.
Okay. And you have lots of different genres in which you write, but let's get started at the beginning. What's your story? Where did you begin? The Yvonne Rediger saga, where does it start?
Probably when I was 13 and started writing short stories for science fiction.
Uh-huh. And what got
Didn't
you...
everybody...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. I just, Star Trek, that kind of thing, you fan fiction.
And one thing led to another, and here we are. Now, we've also had your mother on, Joan Avalanche. So this is the first mother-daughter duo we've had on Talking Books. Who influenced whom?
I believe I influenced her. Like I say, I've been writing since I was 13, and on and off, you get serious. And then for a while after I had our second baby, I thought, I've got lots of time at home. Should maybe do something with it. So there you go. And then from there, I kind of dragged Mom in. We both lived in northern Manitoba at the time, and the winters are long.
They are. Now, as a child, you said you started writing at 13. Did you read much as a kid?
Oh, yes. Everything from Nancy Drew to Trixie Belden to Robin Kane and many other young adult titles and standard authors of the time, and then just kind of gradually rolled into what my older sister was reading, and you kind of go on from there, and then of course they go, oh, what's Mom reading, and that kind of thing. So.
Do you have any favorite books from way back then that you still kind of fondly remember today?
Probably the Robin Kane series, because Robin didn't, she was no shrinking violet. She always said what she thought, and whether it got her in trouble or not, but she was, always out there solving a mystery and doing her own thing, which was kind of cool. And I actually haven't seen any of those around. You
don't have any around?
No.
Oh, no.
Well, we've moved many, many, many times, and that requires you to kind of lighten the load.
So you have a whole bunch of different genres. So let's start with the Musgrave Landing Mystery Series. Yvonne Rediger is with us. Yvonne, give us a little synopsis, a primer on the Musgrave Landing series.
Well, Musgrave Landing is a tiny community on Salt Spring Island, which is, of course, part of the Gulf Islands here in BC. Musgrave Landing is isolated. The only way you can get to it by ferry. And basically there is a tiny cluster of houses there, but there is no actual village. I created all that. I invented everything that's there. So if people are looking for a ferry to get to Musgrave Landing, doesn't exist. But for the purposes of this mystery series, it does. And that's how people come and go. Off to the side of the ferry is a tiny little cafe, currently called Jane's Eats and Treats, which used to belong to her aunt. And that's where we start to get to know the people of Musgrave Landing. We meet Jane, and we meet her sister, and we meet her old flame, Jack, and Jack's father, Arlie Birch, who is my absolute favorite character in this series, because Arlie says whatever he thinks, whenever he wants to. And he's great for comic relief. So there's a mystery there that begins with the mayor going missing, the mayor of this tiny village. So from there, it evolves into Jack finding the body, and on the body is a letter to Jane.
Oh, the plot thickens. Ooh.
Yeah.
So
then they find the murder weapon, and it also belongs to Jane.
Uh-oh. Just a sec here. I've got a noisy cat. Henry, get out of there. Get down. Gee whiz. I don't care. That's there. People know that we have cats around here and they like to make noise. So there you go.
Oh, yes, they do. Yes, they do. I have one as well, and she likes to. What do you mean you have the office door shut? What are you doing?
Yeah. So if I close the door, they'd scratch on it, and if I open the door, they come in and rustle around. So, and I can't put them outside because it's like -20 today. So.
Yes.
So what's the first one called on the Musgrave Landing series?
It's called Death and Cupcakes.
Death and Cupcakes?
Yep, because it starts at the Cafe Bakery beside the ferry. Yep.
And then what's next?
The next is Fun with Funerals. That is also a Musgrave Landing mystery, and this one, I hint at it in Death and Cupcakes. There are little components of it. There's an old house across the way from the ferry that looks like it's old and basically neglected. And this one is coming out, Fun with Funerals is coming out probably in February now. It was supposed to be March, but it looks like they can accelerate the timeline on it if I get my edits in on time. So that one's going to be coming out shortly. And this one takes place with the Highmere family, but there is also a component where Jane and Arlie pop into it as well. They are like the linchpin in all the books. At some point, everybody ends up at the cafe. But they all have their own... each book has its own set of main characters, and in Fun with Funerals, it's Alicia Highmere and her bodyguard, Bryce Graham. And the Highmeres owned the estate, and at one point they owned the ferry and everything in the area. But troubles abounded when Alistair Highmere goes missing 20 years ago. It's a cold case.
Oh, and this is from BWL Publishing?
Yes, both titles are from BWL. Yeah. Now,
are they classed as cozies in the business?
Yes, they are. They're the subgenre is cozy mystery because we don't get into thriller type things where we talk about at no point do you get the killer's point of view. At no point is there any blood, guts, and gore. It's just about solving the mystery.
And this is Yvonne Rediger with us today. So that's just one area in which you specialize, these cozy mysteries, the Musgrave Landing series. Now, from Black Opal Books, you have what coming out? A romantic suspense novel?
Yes, I also have my urban fantasy series that they published that as well, and that's how come they ended up with the romantic suspense one as well. I have probably 3 genres, I guess, so... Yeah, they've got 2.
So you have romantic suspense from Black Opal as well as the Shapeshifters series?
Yes.
So tell us a little bit, first of all, about the romantic suspense novel. That's called The Common Touch, is it?
Yes. That's the second of my traveling romantic suspense novels. Those are standalones. And even though they might have threads into other books, because I like to kind of mention other characters. I don't know why I do that, but I like it. So they kind of link together a little bit. That said, what it is that The Common Touch starts out in Ottawa at the Cannot Ranges international shooting competition that's there every fall. And our main character, Major Zara is a 2-time champion. I took that from reality. There actually is a reservist here in BC who is a 2-time champion. She has won the title for handgun for the 9mm. So I thought, well, isn't that a kind of a neat thing? And that's what kind of led me to think about writing something about that. So it starts out at the Governor General's house where she meets a royal dignitary from a foreign country, and things take off from there. Unbeknownst to her, until partway into the first section of the book, there is death threats against him. because of what their country has gotten into politically, and she ends up having to protect him. And then strange things ensue. So I have them traveling across Canada. They start in Ottawa, they go to Winnipeg, and then they end up in Moose Jaw, and then over Alberta, and then finally into Victoria.
And this is called The Common Touch?
The Common Touch, yeah.
Now, we jump right into yet another genre, the Shapeshifters series. So, okay, explain to me what that's all about.
Okay, well, the first book in that series is really what got me into novel writing. And that was a contest with Harlequin Romance, and they had a contest that they used to run where you would write your novel, and then you could send it to them, and they'd rank it, whether you got into the top 100, and then from there people would vote on your novel, and if you won, you got a contract. So I was on hiatus from work. I'm a solution architect by trade. And I'd finished one contract, and it was before I was going into another, so I thought, well, I'll give this a whirl over the summer. So I wrote this novel, and what it is shapeshifters here living amongst us, unbeknownst to the normal population. And what these are is these aren't werewolves. You don't get bitten and turn into one. What it is people are born this way. This is the way they are. And some people have, and they're just like with any kind of talent, you have varying levels of proficiency. You have people that can't change at all, right up to people that are super fast, strong, and all things wonderful. And those ones get to be the alphas or a mage, because the reason why these people can change is because they can tap into a pool of magic that each shapeshifter carries inside them. So they can tap into that, and that's why they can change shape. And also, if you really, really have a really large reserve, you get to be a mage. And a mage is a chief advisor to the alpha. However, politics ensue, do they not?
Of course.
And things are not going well for these people. Plus, they're always worried somebody's going to find out about them. And it starts out with what they think is a stalker after one of the children. And Jess Rayway, who is the heroine in this, she and Ian Trenner, who is the hero, they must figure out who this person is that's gone after their making the kids sick, and what's going on, and how to figure it out, and who are they really targeting, and what's the deal behind that. That's book one. And they also find out that there has been a murder. In book two, it continues on from book one, which is called Hellcat. And the first one's The Shape of Us, second one's Hellcat. And Hellcat takes place, starts out in Edmonton. And we end up back on Vancouver Island and eventually back down into the Cowichan Valley where the shapeshifters live. And they are after a trader from the original Vancouver Island shapeshifters clan. That's VIC. VIC is Vancouver Island clan is them. And they have to sort out who this person is and catch and capture them and stuff, and bad things ensue, and magic and mayhem and murder and all sorts of things. And then the third book is Trusting the Wolf, and that's the third in the series, and that came out this past June. And each book has its own set of main characters. However, all the characters are always in all books, even though I highlight particular female heroine and male hero. So, and they go all over the place and do all sorts of interesting things, I think, anyway. And they're very popular with people that like urban fantasy or paranormal romance.
Now, is this the Shapeshifters Urban Fantasy? Is that like a young adult title series?
Nope.
Or is it for everybody?
It's for everybody that likes this kind of thing. I would liken it to Ilona Andrews' Magic series, So if you're a heavy reader of the genre, you know who that is and what the deal is with these people. It's not for everyone, obviously, because there is magic, and it's urban fantasy because it's like, what if there was magic? What if there were shapeshifters in our reality? That's really the basis of it. There's a lot of what ifs. So, but in each one, though, there's a mystery to solve, and there's bad guys to catch and that kind of thing. And I think that's the common theme through all my books is there's always a mystery.
There's always a mystery and bad guys to catch. That's a good way of putting it. Yvonne Rediger is with us. She writes in cozy mysteries, romantic suspense, urban fantasy, so different genres. How do you keep them all straight?
Well, I different. This is why I have more than one publisher too, because your publisher wants you to stick with one brand. Well, I read all sorts of stuff, so why can't I write all sorts of stuff? So yeah. Anyway, so that's why a writer needs more than one publisher, I guess.
Now, do you write one book at a time in a certain series, or do you Monday write one kind and Tuesday something else and Wednesday something else, or how does this whole thing work?
Well, not quite to that degree, but usually I'll take 3 or 4 weeks at a time and work on one. And then while that one's resting, I'll work on the next one. Because right now I have 3 on the go. I have book 4 of the Shapeshifter series. That's resting right now. It's called Magic's Price. So far, it might change. But that's the next episode of that saga. I'm also have Condo Crazy, which is book 3 of the Musgrave Landing. That's about 2/3 done, but I got thinking about that one. I have to go back and make some changes. So that one's resting, and currently I am working on, hold your on to your hat, but a new series.
Yes.
called the Adam Norcross Mysteries, which are going to be a little more grittier than the cozy, I guess.
Okay, so we've got now 4 different areas that you're going to specialize in. How do you create these different characters for these different genres? Because usually if you're doing, one sort of style, then you can carry that through. But if you're going back and forth, then instead of keeping 20 characters straight, you got to keep 200 straight. How is that possible? I
have Bibles for each series. As I come up with a character, I make a note in my series Bible, so I know who's who in the zoo, what they look like, and who they're related to, and just a couple of sentences on each one, so I can remind myself. But so far, it hasn't been a problem. I have I don't. There's no such thing as a photographic memory, but there's eidetic memory, and I don't have one of those, but I have something that's probably fairly close.
Now, do you have a certain writing schedule that you follow every day, or?
Yep, I got to put in at least 1,000 words a day.
And this could be anywhere from 6 a.m. to 6 a.m.?
No, not really. It doesn't take me that long. It takes me about maybe a couple hours to put together 1,000 words in any one of the manuscripts. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's I have a routine where you have breakfast and catch up on the news, return email, do a few administration things, and then I'm in the office with the door shut till noon. Until
the cats decide that you have to open that door.
Oh no, she doesn't wait that long. Oh no, about 10:30, I get a knock on the door from the cat. She shakes the door, and it's like, okay, it's time to play fetch for a little bit, and give her a cuddle, and then she'll go away. She's happy. Yeah, but yeah. So you take a break anyway. You shouldn't sit at your desk for more than an hour at a stint anyway. You need to get up and move around. It's more healthy that way. But yeah, I have whiteboards and stuff that I fill things out onto, and to keep track of my plots and what's going where, and I'm kind of anal too. When I was writing Fun with Funerals, I had to figure out the financials behind this family because they're very well to do. They own Highmere Holdings, which is their major size. It's a major size company, and Alicia, the main character, she's CEO. So I had to figure out how much are they worth, who's got what shares, and figure it all out because that's part of the plot. So I built a spreadsheet on it, so I had it clear in my head. I never use any of it, but I have it clear in my head anyway.
Oh, well, somebody has to have it clear.
Yeah, I think it comes from being a solution architect.
Right.
Typically, when you're on the job, you're working on more than one project at a time. So you have to be able to compartmentalize what you're working on, because they can be very diverse. So that's part of the deal. I guess that trained me well for doing this, I guess.
Yvonne Rediger is our guest right now on Talking Books, etc. Professional writer that you are. What's the toughest lesson you had to learn in the pro writing game?
Patience. It takes so long to get an answer back on a manuscript that you just have to move on and work on to your next project. You can't just obsess over that. You just kind of send it off and wait. And then once you've gotten acceptance, then you have to wait for edits, and then you have to wait for cover art, and then you have to wait for the release date, and then you have to wait for responses and that kind of thing. And it seems like it's a waiting game. The whole thing is a waiting game, so you have to really be patient. That said, I think also too, allowing other people's opinion to be accepted. When we have an editor, well, first I have beta readers, and you get their responses back on what you've written, and sometimes it's like, you're criticizing my child.
Right?
No, they're not. They want to make your book better. So yeah, exactly. So so taking criticism and then taking other people's opinion into consideration and thinking it through, not getting emotional about it, and looking at it objectively, I guess, is the second one. Those, I think, are the two most important things: being patient and accepting other people's opinions.
Gotcha. And words to the wise from Yvonne Rediger, who knows of what she speaks. Is there one thing that most people do not know about you that you would care to reveal? When I wrote Diving in Heart First, another romantic suspense, I self-published that. And it's about a lodge in Utila, which is off the coast of Honduras, where we would go scuba diving for a couple of weeks every winter. So the people in that novel that work in the resort, they're real people. So I kind of wrote it for them. Oh, okay.
So that was because scuba diving is an awesome thing to do, and you can see whale sharks down there too. So we would go down there. I think we've been down there 4 or 5 times. Anyway, but it's an awesome thing to do. So scuba diving is I take that from life experience and use it. A lot of the stuff that I put in my novels, either it's my experience or someone close to me, their experience. So it makes it more real, I think. But big scuba diver, and we sail and just kind of being outside, exploring, hiking, that kind of thing.
And if they made a movie of your life, who do you think would play Yvonne Rediger?
Oh my goodness, you could never capture me with one person. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I have never thought about that. I suppose maybe, I don't know her name, but she was in Tanya Huff's Blood series, and she was the main character. She played Vicky. I would love her to play me, because she was kick-ass and take no names.
Well, we'll have to have people look that up for themselves.
I can't remember her name.
Oh, yeah. And I didn't watch it, so I don't know what. I can't help you there.
Yeah. Well, it's quite some time ago. That dates me, doesn't it?
I guess so. Yvonne Rediger, it's been a pleasure, but let's run down your series again from BWL Publishing. We have the Musgrave Landing series, is that right?
That's correct.
And we can find those anywhere?
Yes, you can.
And then from Black Opal Books, what do we have?
We have the VIC Shapeshifter series, the Urban Fantasies. And we also have the first in a series of romantic suspense, and that would be The Common Touch.
And then Adam Norcross, he's not quite fully formed yet, or?
No, he's not ready for prime time, but he should be by next year.
Okay, well, we'll have to reconnect next year at least and find out how he's doing in the wonderful world of Yvonne Rediger. Do you have a website or anything like that?
Absolutely. You can just Google my name and it'll pop you over to my website. And I also have a YouTube channel, and I have presence on Twitter and Facebook. My author page on Facebook is probably where you find out the most of what I'm doing. I do update the blog on the website, but not near as often as the Facebook page, because it's easier, because I am a touch lazy.
Well, okay, we'll put that down as something we don't know about you either. Yvonne Rediger, you can find her online and in bookstores everywhere. Yvonne, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. It's been lovely speaking with you.
I hope you've been enjoying Talking Books and Stuff. Please support us on Patreon to help cover our costs. Please click on the Patreon links, or you can visit our GoFundMe page. Thank you.
Thank you for visiting with us today. This is Talking Books and Stuff with Dennis Rimmer. Contact him at dennis@talkingbooks.tk. Thank you, and may all the good news be yours. Oh, and don't forget to check out his book, The Great Canadian Notebook, available across Canada and at amazon.ca.